Alright, so here we go. Like today, I can build in peakstreak. What I have right now here is a new frontend for it. For a long time I've been like reading about the approaches of doing frontend. I've been looking for this solution which is gonna be super simple yet like not niche. But I'm afraid there is no such solution. And what I have right now is might be the best I can do about it. So basically, I'm using this library called HyperApp. Just like really simple, right? It's like 400 lines of code or something. Right? So, in case of something, I can easily rewrite it. I can easily adapt it, do anything I want with it. And on top of it, yeah, the cool thing is that the fact how small it is, it means you don't have to... Wait. Okay, that was crazy. You don't have to learn a bunch of things to start using it. Yeah, but on the other side, I feel maybe I should go like fully hardcore and just use HTML and JavaScript without, like, right now I'm using, it's pretty much vanilla JavaScript, right? There is nothing else to it. But I'm generating HTML through JavaScript. And I'm thinking about just not doing that, going full HTML. But on the other hand, it means like I have to use, like at some moment I'll use, parse a lot of data from the backend, which I have to represent, and that's gonna like transfer in a lot of logic, and I'm not sure if it's like gonna pay off. At that point, I'm already better to just serve everything from the backend, right? But I don't really want to serve everything from the backend because I want this like client agnostic. Is it called? Yeah. So like I basically want my client to be separate from the backend, so it's like semi-modular. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. So right now I have this code, it's pretty much AI generated. I made some basic template and asked it to just complete it. And so here we go. However, I feel like it could be much better. Like, I love this logic. It probably will not change. However, this, I'm not sure about this one. Where do we have the global state, initial state? That's probably the state, right? Initial state, init fx. Okay, this one is kind of weird. So do we have two initial states? Dispatch any state. Init effect. If state users and state token dispatch fetch heavy suffix token. Let's go that way, let's just ask it. Oh, never mind. Yes. Also, I had some weird experience with TypeScript. I'm not sure if this is because of my like inexperience, But this scene feels so bad. Like, the fact that I require to like pass this generic scene every time, even though it's like the only scene I use, is kinda awful, right? But maybe that's the trade-off of being highly generic. Maybe I should encapsulate it and just use it that way. On the other hand, I noticed if I use only the topmost function, which is how's it called? Signature, I guess. Generic type. More on functions. There's no such thing, right? Anyway, so it's like this generic type. It only needed here because this is a value which is returned, and inside agents doesn't care about it. Why do we have an array in the init state? The short answer is to separate state from side effects. In hyper app actions, like event handlers or the init property, can do two things. Update the state. This is a pure operation. You take the old state and return a new state. Trigger side effect. This is anything that interacts with the outside world, like making an API call, writing to local storage, or setting a timer. HyperApp uses a specific structure, a tuple, which looks like an array to represent this new state effect. Effect, second element, description of the side effect you want to run. It's also a tuple, like, yeah. So it's basically a dispatch, right? Here's what this init array is telling the hyperapp. Initial state, first element. When the application starts, use initial state objects as the very first state. Init affix initial state, second element. Immediately after setting the initial state, run the side effect described here. Init effects is a function to run the effect handler. Initial state is a payload, the data, yeah. Why is it useful? Your application needs an initial state, but it also needs to do something right away if the user is already logged in. Okay, that makes sense, like fetching their data. The init array allows you to do both things cleanly at startup. So this one runs at startup. Init affix. Why do we have dispatch here? Is it like requirements for the app? If state, user and state token. Right, so by default token is safe token, which we get from local storage. And user is saved user from local storage too, or else just on parse saved user. If we have it, we parse it from JSON, else it's null. Okay. We have both. We dispatch fetch habit affix. Okay. Dispatch any. I really do not understand this dispatch thing. Like, really. It's basically like... how's it called? It's a thing to replace async, isn't it? So we got dispatch, then we got an object with token and username. Which is like so weird, why wouldn't you just write it straight away, token and then username? Because of this? Anyway. So we run set loading, true. Okay, so this is, yeah, this dispatch allows you to run function before the proceeding to the next scene. Okay, API get username token, then dispatch set habits. It's a terror. You know, actually, let's read through what does initFX do? InitFX is an effect function and its job is to handle the initial state effect when the app allows. Initial side effect. It makes sense. So it's like basically, do we have user in the local storage or not? Yeah, let's trace the logic step by step. App loads, the app function is called. State initialized. Yep. Effect is triggered. Perhaps sees the second element in the init array here. Passing in the dispatch function and the initial state object as its payload. Yep. If yes, the user is already logged in, the app shouldn't just sit there if it needs to fetch the user data. So initFX calls dispatch fetch habitsFX. The key shows a fetch habitsFX effect, which shows a loading indicator and makes the API call to get the user habits. If no, the if condition is false, initFX does nothing and the app simply remains the login view as defined in initial state. Okay. Summary, putting it all together. Let's ask. Okay, that's cool. But I'm really new to this dispatch. How can I call it? Not logic, but convention? Not really. Strategy? Probably the best one. Could you please explain me about what it is and why do we use it? Okay, good. Let's read. There was this scene before, like JS async before it was added. This question makes me feel old. And what was it like before cars went back kind of way? Callbacks. Was confused about callbacks in my early days. Isn't this basically what I'm doing right now? Callbacks explained. What is callback function? Developers are often confused by what a callback. Okay, actually I want to scale it. Developers are often confused by what a callback is because of the name of the damned scene. A callback function is a function which is accessible by another function, yep, and is invoked after the first function. Is that first function is invoked after the first function? Wait a minute, what do you mean first? If that first function completes. Oh, so it's like at the end of the function, right? So this is not a callback. It's rather called front, right? Or is it? So, okay, not here probably, right? I can go fetch habitsFX, and we got dispatch right from the very beginning, so it's not the callback. Callback is to do scenes and then execute at the end this function, right? So it's like some form of chaining, isn't it? Which is kind of weird. Like, I don't really see why would you want to use it. A nice way of imagining how callback function works is that it is a function that is called at the back of the function it is passed into. Maybe a better name would be a call after function, yep. This construct is very useful for asynchronous behavior where we want an activity to take place whenever a previous event completes. I see. Pseudocode, a function which accepts another function as an argument and will automatically invoke that function when it completes. Note that there is no explicit call to callback function. Yeah, there is no call. Print a number. Print out. A function which we will use, actually let me make it a bit quieter. A function which we'll use in a driver function as a callback function. Driver method, func event. print a number. It's so weird, like we don't call it. I'm so confused. Result, if you call the event. Print a number. Print finish match. Yeah, but we don't call it. Wait. No, there is no explicit call. Yeah, that's so weird. The number you provided is 6. Yep. I have finished. Print your numbers. But we don't execute it here, like... Yeah, that's so weird. Excellent question. The dispatch strategy is fundamental to how many modern front-end frameworks, including HyperApp, manage application logic. It can seem strange at first, but it's an incredibly powerful pattern. Let's break it down. What is dispatch? Think of dispatch as a central messenger for your application. In HyperApp, you have two main type of functions. Actions, pure functions that take the current state and a payload and returns the new state. Yeah, they're simple, predictable, and only care about transforming state. Yep. Effects. Impure functions that handle side effects, anything that interacts with the outside world like API calls, timers, or local storage. These functions are where the unpredictable asynchronous work happens. So it's basically, it has something to do with asynchronous things. The problem is an effect function, like login of X, runs outside of HyperApp's main state management loop. Okay, after it fetches data from an API, how does it tell HyperApp, hey, I've got the data, please update the state with it? Okay. It can just return a new state because it's running asynchronously. This is where dispatch comes in. Dispatch is a function that HyperApp gives to every effect. It's a communication channel back to the HyperApp engine. An effect function uses dispatch to send a message to HyperApp. This message can be run this action to update the state, run the other effect. So it's like Okay, I kinda see it. So we ask HyperApp to execute it, right? And the reason why can't we execute it directly is because it will not trigger a render, right? Is that the reason? I'm curious about how does it like oh, why do I got TypeScript? Can I get to JavaScript? Definition. Why is it TypeScript? I mean, I know why, but index dispatch patch subs dispatch ID. I do not provide it, so it defaults to ID. I have no idea what ID is. ID. It's a function. A to A. That's so weird. Oh no, actually it makes sense. Does it really? No, probably. Okay, actually it makes sense. It makes sense, yeah. So we just don't want to change it. And this function doesn't change it, and because the type of the dispatch is a function, we have to do it that way. Okay. But how does it understand if I have a function inside? Okay. I mean, it gets a little bit better, so it's okay. Yeah, the problem is an effect function like runs outside. Yep. An effect function is dispatch to send yep. Why do we use it? The core benefits. Using dispatch provides a clear and organized way to structure application. The main reasons are to separate concerns, keeping state logic pure. This is the most important reason. It separates the clean part of your app from the messy part. Actions set aus, set error are pure. They do one thing, calculate the next state. They are easy to understand, test and debug. You can run them a million times with the same input and they'll always produce the same output. True. Effects are impure. They handle the messy, unpredictable world of networks and external APIs. An API call might succeed, fail, or timeout. I mean, is it really like if there are finite amount of states, is it really impure? Right, so if I call the API, and even if there's like infinite amount of states, but I have 3 of them and all the others I can like separate as an error, right? So I can like segregate them in 4 type of states. Is it really impure? Let's really ask it. Okay, I see. But what if... Is it like... I'm not... About... With the dispatcher login effects, a login effects can do all the messy API work, and once it has a clear result as it accesses data or an error, it uses dispatch to call a pure action with the result. Okay. Let's trace the login effects to see this in action. Login effects. First dispatch a pure action to update the UI immediately. Set loading. Now do the messy asynchronous work. Post login. Then success, the messy work is done. Now dispatch pure actions and other effects with a clean result. Set all data, update state with the user and token. Fetch habits effects. Start another effect. Catch failure, the messy work failed. Dispatch pure action to update the state with the error. Okay. Okay, to handle asynchronous operations gracefully. Web applications are fundamentally asynchronous. You click a button and you have to wait for a server to respond. The dispatch pattern is perfect for this. The flow is: an event happens, user clicks login, an effect is triggered. The effect immediately dispatches an action to put the app in a loading state. The UI can now show a spinner. The effect waits for the async operation, the fetch promise, to complete. But is this like really async? You just basically tell inside another function that you have to do something before proceeding with all the other things. When the promise resolves or rejects, the effect dispatches another set aus or set error. Okay. To chain multiple actions and effects. Okay. You made 2 very insightful points. Can a function be truly impure if it only interacts with a finite set of external states? Yep. Even if the external states are infinite, can we just handle them to produce a finite predictable set of outputs? The answer lies in definition of purity in the context of programming, and more important, the predictability and testability of the code. What makes function impure? In functional programming, a function is considered pure if it meets 2 criteria. referential transparency for the same input, it always returns the same output. Okay, so it doesn't work anymore with this, right? Yeah, it will not work. Yeah, that makes sense. No side effects. It doesn't cause any observable change outside of itself, like modifying a global variable right into a file, making a network request. Case 1, the world of finite states. If we can get finite amount of states from the outside world, is this function really impure? Let's imagine a hypothetical world where your API server can only ever be in one of these states. Okay, even if this simplified function is still impure. Why? Because it violates referential transparency. If I call today, it might return yep. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. Still kinda confused, wait a minute. Why can't we just call it directly? Because we have to update UI, right? That's the problem. I mean, as far as I understand, the main problem is to update the UI. But why can't we just call the functions in effects directly without using dispatch? Is it because we have to? Is it so the app knows that it has to draw everything after calling this function? So it's basically a callback, right? This dispatch is basically a callback, isn't it? Basically just tell it to do set loading, to call set loading with true, and then render it. And so render is like called at the back. Yeah, the primary reason you must use dispatches so the app knows that it needs to potentially render the view. Let's dive deeper into why this is necessary. It all comes down to how HyperApp and similar frameworks like React with Redux manages state and update the UI. HyperApp core loop, the conductor. Think of HyperApp engine as an orchestra conductor. Its main job is to keep everything in sync and ensure the final performance of the UI is correct. Here's a simplified sequence of events that conductor follows. Wait for an event. The application is idle, waiting for something to happen. You either click a button or effect like initFX triggered. Received a request via dispatch. An event handler or an effect calls dispatch some action payload. This is like a musician tapping the conductor on the shoulder and handing them a new instruction. Okay, this analogy is kinda like inconvenient, but okay. Run the action. The conductor takes the instruction, some action, and the data payload, and runs the action function. Yeah, this function only job is return a new state object. This function's only job is to return a new state object. New state, some action, current state, okay. Compare states. This is the most critical step. The conductor compares the new state it just received with the current state it was holding. Yep. Okay. And all of them, do they return state? Yeah, state. State here. Okay, this kind of makes sense. Okay, starts to click in place. Run the action. The conductor takes the instruction, runs, yeah. Compare states, yep. Decide whether to render. If new state, if new, yep. Didn't render. Go back to step 1. Okay. What happens if you call a function directly? Now let's imagine it would happen inside your login effect if you didn't dispatch. Okay. The data. catch. Calling the action function directly is like musician deciding to play a new tune without telling the conductor. The musician might be playing the right tones in their own head, but the conductor doesn't know, the rest of the orchestra doesn't know, the audience hears nothing new. Okay. The entire system falls apart because the central coordinator was bypassed. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Does it have anything to do with callbacks? Damn, can you sing? Sing before answering. And here we go. You're thinking like a program. Yeah, dispatch has everything to do with, it's basically a callback, right? Let's be very precise about the relationship. Dispatch is not a callback itself. It is a tool you use inside a callback to communicate with the application engine, solving the fundamental problems that callbacks create in a state-driven UI. Let's break that down. The callback problem, a gap in time and scope. First, what is callback? It's simply a function you pass to another function to be executed later. Yep. Login FX use callbacks with promises, then and catch. So this is a callback. Because a post is asynchronous, right? That's the reason. It returns promise, yep. Dispatch. When login FX first runs, it kicks off the API post and then immediately finishes. The JavaScript engine doesn't wait. Okay. Okay, no, it's actually kind of weird. Like, how does it work under the hood? I mean, I understand it's an event loop, but I don't really understand the event loop itself, right? So it's like still executing, but we can do anything else in the process, right? How is it possible on the single thread? Without doing like some crazy abstractions over like each operation. Because that means you like have to like give the time to execute each operation of each function, right? Which feels like ridiculous for JavaScript. Or is it really? Kind of difficult. When login FX first runs, it kicks off, yeah, and then immediately finishes. The JavaScript engine doesn't wait, it moves on. The function inside then and catch are now just floating in memory, waiting to be called by the browser's networking system at some unknown point in the future. Yep. This creates two gaps. The time gap, the code that needs to update the state runs seconds or even minutes after the event that triggered it. Yep. The scope gap, the callback function is executing in a detached context. It has no direct access to the hyperrep engine. The callback function is executing in a detached context. It has no direct access to the hyperrep engine or its state management loop. It's on its own. Okay. Okay. So the fundamental problem is how does this lonely detached callback running at some random time in the future report its result back to the main application? The bridge across the gap, dispatch. This is precisely the job of dispatch. It It's a stable bridge connecting the isolated world of the callback back to the main hyperop engine. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So basically, dispatch, like, their external things that change the state of the app, right? And dispatch just tells, like, it's just a message that the app has changed, the state of the app has changed. You have to render it. This precisely the job of dispatch. It's a stable bridge connecting the. Okay, yeah. Think of it like the hyperweb engine is headquarters. It's a single source of truth for the application state. Only HQ can officially change the state. Login FX is a field agent sent on a mission. The mission is to get data from the server. The callback then is the moment the agent completes the mission. Dispatch is the agent's radio. Okay. Now these analogies are like ridiculous, but okay. It's kind of fun. When the agent completes the mission, they can just walk into HQ. Yeah. Conclusion, why not just call a function? Are there other ways to achieve similar functionality? Similar result? To probably solve the same problem. I had an idea, but oh yeah, I'm really curious about Kimiki too. Like, I heard a lot about it, but I want to check it out. Everyone says how good it is to communicate with, right? Can you explain? Actually, let's just do the same prompt, right? 1-to-1. HyperApp's init field is written as, because HyperApp lets you attach side effects to the very first state by putting them in a fixed payload pair. Init can be expressed in any of these equivalent forms. State plus multiple effects. Okay. The code we want to trigger one first time side effect infects of the array. This place is yeah. It's really concise, by the way. I like it. What does init effects actually do? Runs once when the program starts. Checks whether the browser had cached previously logged in. Yeah. If both exist, immediately fires so the dashboard shows the user habits without the user having to log in again. In short, any extra array around initial state simply follows HyperApp's tiny convention for initial state plus effects, and init effects is the effect that transparency. Okay, let's proceed with another. I already like this answer more, not gonna lie. It's like straight to the point. Think of dispatch as only do something function that exists in the whole app. What HyperApp does? HyperApp keeps two things for you in memory. The current state tree, I can't scroll it. The current state tree plain JSON object. Okay. A message bus as internal queue of actions. Whenever anything in a HTTP request finishes, the user click a button, timeout fires, finishes, it must put a message on that bus by calling dispatch. HyperApp then runs your action, gets back the new state, or the old one if nothing has to change, stores that in memory, renders the view, and finally executes any effect the action decided to run. Any effects, yeah. Everything that needs to do anything is not 100% synchronous, therefore receives dispatch, so it can post that hey, something happened message later. Okay. Why still give a fix that dispatch payload signature? Because an effect is just a function that eventually calls dispatch with an action and optional data. Why we still give a fix that dispatch payload signature? Because an effect is just a function that eventually calls dispatch with an action and optional data here. Pure reducer, change the state only. Add to do, yep. Set effect function must eventually cause an action. Fetch to dos, then RGSON, then data dispatch, add to do. Back onto the bus, yeah. Save failed, okay. We never reach into the previous bus, into the private bus, we simply receive dispatch and call it when appropriate. That keeps every side effect 100% explicit, replayable and testable. Unit test can pass a mock dispatch. Okay. Analogy, imagine dispatch action payload as posting a letter into a mailbox. The envelope is an action, a pure function. The payload is any data in the action is. Eventually, a little mail carrier reducer picks the letter, opens it, runs the action, and produces a new public state. The dispatch function that every effect gets is simply the address where the mailbox lives. Yeah, makes sense. Now let's add more. Short answer. If you just call the pure reducer function yourself, you can change your own copy of the state. But hyperrep itself will never know about the change, so it won't re-render the view. It won't keep the new state as the official one, and no other effects that depend on the state will run. Dispatch the mandatory front door front door that replaces the state inside hyperrep's internals, orders a render, and executes any fuse effects you ask for. Imagine what happens if we shortcut instead of dispatch. Yeah, understand. Hyperrep's engine will hold the old state. If we don't leave happens, screen remains unchanged. Any other all valids, your timers, as the network calls, will keep working with still data. I dispatch should do it instead. Okay, these answers are really good. Like, this formatting is great. It's much better than this one, not gonna lie. Okay, let's move on with this. This one is a bit more interesting. No. Oh, my bad. Actually, I should know. I should not ask it to think before answering. That's something I have to do only with Gemini. Not quite. Dispatch is not a callback that you have to remember to return to. It is a special address for the message, but that hyperreps owns. Yes, it is first-class function you can store or pass around like a callback, but the semantics are different. Callback style. Caller decides when the callback fires and what to do once it fires. Dispatch style. The effect decides when to send the message, yeah, but the engine decides what happens next. State change withdraws the effect, yeah. Multiple independent callbacks can fire and scatter mutating code everywhere. Only the mailbox dispatch exists. Every piece of work ends up inside the same, yep. So if by callback you mean the classic JavaScript pattern, then a hyperrep effect does look similar. You get the plain dispatch function and use the inside, yeah. However, the critical difference is that you never let the callback mutate the world directly. You always dispatch into the single mini runtime hyperrep gives you, yep. Okay, pretty good. I like it. Let's read what Gemini provides us. Are there other ways to solve the same problem? Absolutely, this is an outstanding question. Wow. Let's explore the most common alternative to the core problem. restated. How do we run the asynchronous operation? Updates the application side with the result and shows the UI automatically renders to reflect the new state. The hooks model. Modern React Vue 3. It's arguably the most popular alternative to centralized dispatch model today. How it works: state is localized to the components that need it. You don't have one giant state object, you have many small independent pieces of state. You use stateHook to declare a piece of state and get dedicated setter function for it. Side effects: you use effect hook to run your asynchronous code. The trigger, the setter function, e.g. set user set error, is the key. Calling the function is what tells the framework this state has changed. Please render this component and its children. Okay. The reactive mutable state model. We use felt mobx. This approach feels the most magical. You modify state directly, and the framework just knows it needs to update the delay. Yeah, so that's something you can do without compiler, right? Like, there is no way to do that not in compile time. How it works: the framework wraps your state objects in a special proxy, or use a compiler to track dependencies, so there is a way. When you change a property on one of these reactive objects, the framework's reactivity system automatically detects the change and schedules a render for any part of the UI that depends on the specific property. Okay, that's interesting. State: append JavaScript objects variable declared to be reactive. Side effect: handle in methods lifecycles. Okay. The trigger: simple assignment. You just mutate the state. How do I check assignment not in compile time? Not. Example: install the purest form of this model. User selection. It's like Svelte 4, not 5, right? There's no runes on mount. The observable steer model. Angular with RxJS. Is it signals? The pattern is common in large composed application and is the default in Angular to read events and data as streams that you can subscribe to. Okay, not really. Or is it? Probably not. How it works: state is managed in services. Okay, that's cool. I want to see what Kimi will say. Damn, like, I really think maybe I should move to Kimi. Yes, the pattern implemented here. Happy wrap style deliberately pushes all state mutations into a single mailbox that is fed by explicit tuples produced by effect functions. If you don't want to buy into that constraint, you have a whole spectrum of alternatives. Below are the most common ones, cobbled together with the effect system we already wrote for comparison. Nothing below is wrong, they simply treat the same problem differently. Built-in promise chaining. Keep happy wrap as the view layer, but run each side effect right in the event handler and let it keep the promise, instead of giving tuple back. Login return promise and submit. Login returns a promise. Renderer gets all state. Okay. Try const data. Pause to login. Next state. Set aus. Habits. Await. Page DOM. Yeah, so we just basically page DOM here. Redraw manually. Yep. Which means we have to expose it, right? And we have to remember to get the new yeah. So it's basically the same. Like, in my logic, it's gonna be like, let me see. So we are getting the data. Then we are making set auth. Set habits, wait a minute. Where is set habits? Fetch habits of X. Oh, that's... We're going here. Yeah, we're executing this. Okay, I see. And then we draw the latest state and catch the error. No custom effect runner at all. Con, if two async scenes race, you have no single authority reconciling the two results. Yeah. Redux style async songs or sagas. In a long story of heroic achievement, especially a medieval prose narrative in Old Norse. Okay, a long involved story, account or series of... Okay, song. A dual heavy sound such as that made by an object falling to the ground. Maybe it was... wait. Move, fall, strike, heavy sound, okay. Completely like a but still lives outside the reducer loop very often. Dispatch. It still gets the dispatch. Wait. We got a function that returns a function, right? That's a function. Yeah, that returns... Wait a minute. I got function. Then... it returns... we got another function. Until here, right? I'm so curious. How do I read it? Dispatch set loading const await. Dispatch set out. Then on submit. Some plugin every async scene gets dispatched but invokes through the Redux store instead of hyperrep. State machines, xstate. Turn all effects into pure descriptions like type fetch habits params. And hand a machine interpreter separate from the reducer the job to executing those descriptions and reacting with the events exactly the way hyperrep does internally. Signals observables RxJS. Oh. Instead of reducer, you keep observable streams. AUS, new subject. User state, AUS pipe. Switch map, token user, fetch habits. Scan. Render then subscribe to... Actually, like, it's kind of disappointing. Why it told me about pros and cons in the first variant, but not in the others. Render then subscribers to user state directly. There is no single mailbox function. Each stream has its own lifecycle. Okay. The original just use global and be careful. Which one to pick? Dispatch plus effect function, the hyperrep model. Very explicit, tiny runtime, single source of truth, pay off in a long-lived or team-sized apps. Promises in DOM handlers, global state equals 0 runner logic. But puts threading and traces on you. Pick the light tools, it still keeps the bugs you're actually seeing under the control. Okay. I'm curious about signals. What are the trade-offs? Okay. Signal versus dispatch. Resute, reducer? Recute. Wait a minute. Is it a typo? The word recute is not standard English word. It appears to be misspelling of as a rescued. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Reducer loop to solve the same problem. How do I describe asynchronous fork so that when it finishes something deterministic happens to my data? But they put the responsibility to different places. What a signal looks like? Mini example that replaces the last block in your file. Solid.js signals, React signals. State is a tree of signals. So any mutation anywhere instantly propagates. Effect runs automatically whenever is dependency change. effect if user. How does it understand dependencies? Like, we got a state value token. How does it know that it has the signal, right? Trade-offs laid out side by side with the current code. Dispatch, reducer loop, signals, observables. State access, central tree kept by the engine, only changed by dispatched actions. Many small reactive cells, every damn, it's difficult to every write anywhere is automatically pushed. Place where async work is described and started. Effect functions listed by an action. Nothing happens unless the reducer says now run this. Any signal can start work immediately when its dependency change after run. Race cannon. Explicit reducer decides the order via new actions. Needs additional cancellation, abort controller, switch map, etc. Otherwise you get stale network updates. Interesting. Bottle size 1 kilobyte, hyperrep is tiny. Most signal leaps, solid, RxJS, MobiX, Preact signals are 2 to 7 kilobytes plus whatever polyfills. I have no idea what polyfills is. A polyfill is a piece of code, usually JavaScript, that provides modern functionality to all the browsers. Okay, I see. That don't natively support it. Okay. Learning curve 1. Global rule, always dispatch. 3 rules. Read from value. Write to value. Computed effect for derived work feels like magic for newcomers. Debugging. Single log of state trace here. State trace fan out into every single callback. Execution order is execution order is data driven instead of code order. Okay. SSR snapshots. Fill snapshot run all effects that matter, ignore IO, serialized state. SSR may need invisible write queues for signals so that effects don't tick while rendering server side. Okay, I guess it kinda makes sense. Fine grained updates. Render on every dispatch, entire state tree is diffed. Only the parts of DOM that read the signal will render. Very fast, but can emit 100 micro updates if not careful. Takeaway. Signals trade some explicit intent. This action only runs when this reducer emits it. For minimal boilerplate and extremely granular updates. If your only goal is the mini hyper app you already have, staying with dispatch plus pure reducer is slightly and less surprising. Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Okay, so I got better understanding of it. I'm curious if I can... Actually, let's just see if it works, right? I guess that's the most reasonable thing to do right now. First of all, I have to go podman, PS. Okay, it works. So I'm doing make run. Oh, not here. Make build. Make run. I got the server. Sign up. Inspect. Create account. Fail to create user. Internal server error. So it's a backend problem. Leonid, sign up. Dispatch set loading true. Okay, I'm curious, what if I'll run only the front end? I want to see the loading. Ban run build. Ban run dev. I actually could just run dev and call it a day. Okay. Fail to execute JSON on response and expected end of JSON input. Pivot loader serves the server respond with the status of 500 internal server error. Wait, there is a response? What the hell? It's because it's localhost? Okay, okay. Okay. Oh, because I'm calling the same port, right? Yeah. Okay, let's just assume it's gonna load it properly. Oh, can I simulate? It's a browser, like, I should be able to simulate it. Bound run. Not here, cd. Make. Run. Update. Console. Network. Do I do offline? Login. Fail to fetch. Air internet disconnected. Okay. Let's do really slow. 3G. Loading. Okay, it works. It does really work. Damn, this scene is so cool. Not what I mean. 500. Sign up. Username, email, password. Then dispatch, set view login, set error message. Okay. Let's go here, roles. Sign up. Sign up handler. Wait a minute. Pair roles. Are they protected? Ultimate over. No, they are not. They are not. Only these are protected. Okay, sign up. Oh, do I get the lock? Not really. I mean, at least I get... Because there's nothing I need, right? Yep. Register. Invalid request payload. That's not there, so we move on. Validate stocked. Well, validation error response. That's not the error, right? So we move on. Yeah, that's not the error. Params service. Create user params. Create user. Fail to create user. Internal server error. What do we do with this one? Message. Error. String. But there is like no message. Am I wrong? Just internal server error. How do I even debug it? I'll sign up. What if clear do it that way? Can I clear the conversation here? Clear models. Clear the chat, can I? Is there... Not really. Could you please write what's it called? Carl command to create new user for the following API. And let's just I'll just let it figure everything out. Then build assets. No, I'm doing something weird. Yeah, this one remove. Send. So I'll call it without the front end. And we'll see. Well, it's a tiny curl recipe. You can pass into a POSIX shell to create a new user agent, a user against a locally running peakstreak API. The step creates a user Alice with a password secret123 and email alice@example.com. Replace JSON values or the base URL if you're running the container on another host part. Okay. Okay. npm tmp.sh right go bash tmp.sh fail to connect to localhost port after zero couldn't connect. Oh yeah, it doesn't, it's not running obviously. New window, make run. Error, failed to create user. Okay, now I'm curious, why do I have message here and not in the browser? That's the problem. I'm more like, why do I have svelte icon here? More concerned about. Because I want to see if something goes wrong. Yep. So let's go here. Set error. How to create user. Okay, so we got it right here. The whole message. Can we log it to the terminal? Probably not, right? So set error, like, we can, but not within the set error. Or do we really? Can we? Actually, what's the problem? So just return the state here. Console.log error. Just like that, I guess. Make build. Make run. Okay, let's update this one. Error, failed to create user. Okay. However, it's not an error, right? Like this one is clearly an error, this one is not. GS console. Oh, maybe there is like console error, not log. Wait a minute. Console.error. Yep. I'm a genius. That was fast. Error. Damn, I need something like watch to rebuild it immediately. Make run. Yeah, just like that. Go here, update, sign up. Also, I want it to change the URL when I change the page. Damn, actually it feels pretty great, not gonna lie. I feel like I have control over something I do. Like I'm so direct to this JavaScript. Error, failed to create user. Okay. Okay, good. Good, now let's detect what the problem is. Sign up. Failed to create user, this one. So we're going H service create user. Can it connect to the DB? Is that the problem? If error not equals nil. Let's return the error actually. Dot error. And let's just see. Error column, email or relation user doesn't exist. Migrations. Need up. Do I have to update it? I have to clean up the DB. I hate it. Then why is it so long? I see why. Clear. Podman PS. Podman kill. Podman PS. Okay, got this one. Copy once again. Ink. Not Docker, but Podman. Do it create DB from like fresh DB? Probably yes, I would say. Error requires at least one arc, only receive 0. Podman run. Okay, so I deleted something extra. Yeah, I have to EP parse. Oh wait, so it's not duplication. Oh, my bad. I just scrolled it through. No wait, there is a Alpine password. What the hell is this? 15 Alpine. Right? Just like that. Yank. Okay. Great. Help. I don't remember what I should call. Migrate up. I did this one time. Help. How do I? Oh, actually, wait a minute. I know how I did it. Make migrate. Applying migrations. Nice. Make run. Oh, it did work. Okay, but this one is weird. There is some logic problem, clearly. What if I'll use the same credentials, but different password? Username already exists. Okay. Validation failed. Okay, so there's not gonna be new information here because I don't provide it to the client. Which is pretty much good. It's a security concern. Sign up, undo. So I return just string here. Then I got login. No, it's still sign up. Wait a minute. Validation error response. Username. Min 8. Okay, that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However, I don't like this validation failed. Wait a minute. I want to know what exactly failed. Error. Validate required mean. Okay, let's go here. Invalid request body. Validation failed. Details. Right just on. Error. Details. Validation failed. Promise cache. But what about details? It's kind of weird. Return JSON. Can I just get the JSON network? This one. Response. Details. Password. Failed on the min tag. Yeah, so we got it. I just don't see it in console log. Which is fine. I just log the error only. That might be the reason. Anyway, let's just make it valid. Okay, we got the account. Let's log in. Now it is. Yeah, here we go. R is not a function. Okay. Habit. Error. R is not a function. Okay. R is not a function. Network. We got no network, right? Habits. It's just... No, it's a response. Wait a minute. ID. User ID. Name. Created it. So the problem is on the server side. Search. Wait. Search. Grab. R. What am I... Like, how do I even look for R? That's not what I want. Create habit. FX. Why is it FX? Is it because I have to press a button? Out form. Dashboard view. Dashboard container. Welcome. Yeah, this is where am I? Where I am. Create new habit. Add habit. Where is the button? Input. Button. Type. Submit. Disabled. State is loading. Text add habit. But where is the action? Oh, it's a form, right? It's submit, so it's a form. On submit we have state, event. Event prevent default. Const new habit name, token user state. If new habit name, trim and token and user. Return state. Okay, why is it like not a separate function? Why is it just in here? It's so weird. Because it's not an action? Is it really? It returns the state. Okay, so if everything works, we return state, new habit, name, create habit fx. So that's probably where the problem is. Despite set loading, let's actually check. Network, 3G, add habit, loading habits. Yeah. Not offline, not offline. Okay. API habits. Name token. Actually, let's make sure the error R is not a function, which is so weird. We got the payload. So it is in the database. Yep. So the problem is something different. We post it, we get the results, and we dispatch fetch habits of x. That's the problem actually, right? Error message. Dispatch set loading, true. API get AP users username token. Then dispatch set habits, data habits. What the hell? R is not a function. Wait a minute. Can I see it? It should not be obfuscated, right? I can just read it. Oh, is it really? It's because it compiled with I can't. Console error. But error. It's loading. Error. But here it's like the correct names. Okay, I would see set error, right? If it was like there is no error in the front end. Yep. So set habits. I want to try one more. Search. Is there a search in that file? Okay, let's just use grep R and call it O. Is that how you do it? Res, wait, that's not what I want, is it? Habits map, log today false, return, set here. Okay, it should work, like... This error is so confusing, what does it mean? Error, R is not a function. Can I get trace? White build without... Actually, you know what I can do? You know what I can do? You know what I can do? Oh no, I can't. I thought I can just run my frontend and backend separately. So then I can like don't build it so I can read the code. But that requires, I forget how this scene called. Like activate some scene in the backend so it allows to call the local ports without changing variable names. Minify none. Pure console log. Example have is built to remove any console log. Minify identifiers false, but keep variable names. Build minify is built. If your reason is built to minify, you can set up your white loop, for example. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure what do I use. I guess yes build is something that is used by default. White config. Where do I pass it in? Build. No overload matches this call. So it's here. Right. Clear make build. Make run. Let's update the UI. Okay, actually authentication works, which is good. Pepper dispatch is not a function. Okay, this one is terrifying. What do you mean dispatch is not a function? Set error. Console log. Okay, that's a trace. That's a trace. Listener. Dispatch. Renderer equals node patch node. Yeah. So it's basically the hyperrep logic. But where does it called? Where is it called? Can I probably can't see from here, right? At least what's the event that is? Do I have such power to see the event? Set error. Console.log log of error plus error. However, error message, that's a problem. Message, so I can do it that way. I mean, it will not give me anything. From a sketch. New sentence, create habit to fix. Oh, so here it is. Error message, set error. Wait. Dispatch. API post. Then dispatch is not an error? What the hell? How is it? Error could even get here. Dispatch, cache, error. Post. How is it possible? Like post can't return such error. Can it? Then dispatch. Is that the problem? I got dispatch right here, like I can see it. Token username. I got it right here. Wait a minute. Is it even legal? Ink. How do I clear my chat? This way probably. Could you please help me find the bug? After creating a habit produces a correct response, but does response from the backend, but does not update the frontend. Let's see. Oh, it's an R1. I want gimme. Gimme free. I guess just like that. We try. The root cause is the initial render problem. The first. Oh, my bad. Actually, I did not provide the error. Why is it at the very bottom? Can I copy this message only? It's here. Browser console. That's right. Fetch habits affix is a side effect, therefore it must be handed to hyper app as an effect tuple. Inside, create a habit affix. We're already inside an effects function. The only thing you can do is ask hyper app to run the effect again. Doing. Tries to call fetch habits affix directly, so its first argument is not a dispatch function. It's not a dispatch function. Wait. And then the inner call dispatch set loading true blows up with the message you see in the console. Huh? Causal 3 characters from 2. Oh. Oh. Wait, that's kind of weird. Great habit. Wait, I still don't see why. It's a side effect, therefore it must be handed to hyper app as an effect tuple. Why tuple? Inside create habit affix where you already inside an effect function. The only thing you can do is ask hyper app to run the effect again. Doing. Tries to call fetch directly, so its first argument is not dispatch function. Don't see how does adding brackets differ from the original code in terms of logic. Let's edit and check. We got it right where it is. Yeah, right here. Right. Let's go. Actually, let's rebuild it. Build. Make run. It's the same error, isn't it? Yeah. Have I saved it? I probably did. In HyperApp, an effect, every function that ends in affix has to be executed by the runtime, not by you. Yep. Is an effect tuple. When you give it to runtime via the return value of an action or via HyperApp itself will later invoke. Yep. Probably yes. Yeah. It's a direct function call. Wait. Wait a minute. Dispatch? Yeah. It makes sense. It's a direct function call at this point. The first argument you provide is not a dispatch function, it is literally the object. So inside fetch the line dispatch set loading true. It's actually doing token is your name with false. The one pair of brackets is therefore exactly the difference between keep the runtime of control. But it changed nothing, is it? I just updated it. Wait a minute. Make build. Make run. Update. Dispatch is not a function. QMD, copy everything. Go here. So basically came up with a solution. Okay, what is gonna tell me now? Actually, I want to copy it and ask Gemini to. The error dispatch is not a function comes from hyperrep init affix signature being violated. In your code you write init affix. Also, that's another error, isn't it? No, it's the same. Create habit affix. Wait a minute. Okay, maybe they're related. But hyperrep expects an effect. You pass the whole state as props. Yep. So inside the state counts is so the effect state counts in the props. Initial state is now the second argument, not the first one. Therefore, the object is treated as the first argument. Runtime_call, which obviously fails. No, like that's not the reason. Fix. If you need fix only the values it needs, token plus username and nothing more. Change the effect signature. Supply the props explicitly. It's kind of weird. Clearly tells me it's create habit effects. Okay, Gemini thinks so hard. 90 seconds is insane. That's that isn't good. This will probably give me some nonsense. Hello, I've analyzed the code and the error message you provided. The bug. The root of the problem lies frontend SHC APTS, specifically within create habit affix function. Here's the problematic code block. This is a buggy line. Why is this a bug? Why is this a bug? In hyperrep, the dispatch function is used to trigger actions. Effects, on the other hand, are triggered when they are returned by an action in a new state effect tuple. Wait a minute, I can't call dispatch on effects? What do you mean? I've been doing it for many times already. It's kind of weird. Did I? Like, I guess, was I? Set heavy, set error. Okay, so I can do dispatch on effects. Wait, but login affix worked correctly. Create habit, here we go. Data token. Then data. Token is your name. Token is your name. Get habits, then dispatch fetch head. Yeah, makes sense, okay. Okay. What's the problem then? The solution. To fix is not to use dispatch to call the second effect, since create habit affix already has the dispatch function from its arguments. You can simply call fetch habit fix directly as alone. Oh, seriously? Seriously? I mean, it kind of makes sense, I guess. Dispatch. So I just pass this dispatch downstream, right? That's the thing. Okay, it seems reasonable. Variables, create habit fix. Yeah, let's write everything. Build, make run Okay, let's update everything. Damn, I got the same error. What the hell is that? How is it even possible? Let's stop it. Yeah, it's definitely the same server. Wait a minute. Make run. Oh, it works. It's another error. Okay, looks good. Another habit. Okay, it looks good. Lock for today. Locked. Wow. No way. What's this? What is this error? Fetch habits of X. Type error. Dispatch is not a function. So I'm doing that several times, right? How can I go with it? I can probably do space, search, grep, fx space. Okay, I should probably do search, space, search, then R for search and replace. Then I'm doing fx space. Oh, it's not how I do it. No, wait. Okay, I can just do 67. Not 64. Dispatch set loading. Okay, that's not bad. 79. This one is bad. So here I remove the dispatch function. Dispatch. Just like that. Okay, looks pretty good. It was 79, now 89. See no problems here. 96. Okay, this I just fixed. 105. No effects. 230. Yep, and here we go. Actually, undo. I need this parenthesis. Dispatch. Just like that. With this one. Make build. Make run. Yeah, it works. It works great. Okay, nice. It's actually pretty good for today. Not gonna lie. It's pretty good for today. Actually, I enjoyed the experience. Not gonna lie. I mean, it's not like I did much, but I feel like I got the strong understanding of how scene works, right? And it feels like this approach of doing frontend is pretty good. Not gonna lie. Like, it feels pretty damn